The world of the UFC and boxing have been slowly crossing over for the past few years now. In the past, we've seen UFC fighters head over to boxing for an event, and boxing fighters come to UFC for a match. So what has Dana White been saying about the future of this? Well, stay tuned to today's video as we're going to discuss White on MMA/boxing crossovers. We already saw what happens. First up, we have White on MMA/boxing crossovers. We already saw what happens. It's been a trend recently for either a boxer to move over to the UFC or a UFC fighter to move over to boxing. Most of the time, these are for very specific moments like Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, where we saw McGregor train in boxing to try and take down Mayweather, but Mayweather wouldn't head down to UFC for a tougher battle. Though he had limited training for the fight, McGregor held his own against Mayweather for 10 out of 12 rounds, but in the end, we saw Mayweather take home the victory via TKO. Tyrone Woodley losing to Jake Paul was also something that showed a UFC fighter heading over to the boxing for 1 or 2 matches. It has been made very clear to both fans of boxing and the UFC that a fight between Ngannou and Usman would make history and that people really want it. However, one influential man seems to be very over the idea and has made it clear in interviews. Dana White said about the event, "We saw it. We saw what happens," White said. What we know happens if a boxer comes into the UFC, and we know what happens when the UFC fighters go to boxing, especially when you're talking about like Canelo, the best in the world, and the best of all time, Mayweather. It's just silly. White has expressed a complete lack of interest in MMA/boxing crossovers with anyone on his fight roster, especially if he feels the fight would not be as lucrative as the Mayweather vs. McGregor bout. What do you think about White's comments on this matter? Let us know down in the comments section below. It's a crazy time for both the boxing world and the UFC world. Having another crossover between the two would be insane. Though people denounce him as a boxing man, it does look like Jake Paul is going to be heading into the UFC pretty soon, as he has signed a deal with Khabib and should have an opponent soon. And now on to some other UFC news. Up next, Paige VanZant's moved to wrestling after leaving the UFC. She has now left the UFC and is headed over to wrestling, where she has even more freedom than before. In her official introduction after signing her new contract, she had a storyline with Tay Conti, who also has an MMA background specializing in judo. VanZant appeared on AEW Dynamite on Wednesday at the end of a match where Sammy Guevara, Conti's real-life boyfriend, lost his AEW TNT championship to Scorpio Sky, another wrestler who is guided by Lambert. She lost her UFC deal after losing during UFC 251 in 2020, then signed on to bare knuckle fighting and lost her 2 debut matches there. Wrestling seems like the perfect place for her to fight under now. In February, BKFC boss Brian Feldman said big things are planned for her and are targeting late spring and early summer. The thing about Paige VanZant is that she didn't win either fight, but she came to fight and she fought her ass off both times. He said, "She did really well. She didn't take a backward step, and look, it's a different sport. She's learning it." So her want to fight again in a bare knuckle after taking 2 losses, you have to take your hat off to the girl. I look forward to her comeback. Paige is also a model, so you can see her success on Instagram as it's the perfect platform for her photos according to her. She was losing money going through an agency, so Instagram was what she decided upon. Now, former UFC fighter Chael Sonnen is being charged with 11 counts of battery over the December incident in Las Vegas. After a few months of deliberation and court hearings, it looks like retired UFC fighter Chael Sonnen is going to be charged with the 11 counts of battery that came from an incident on December 18th in Las Vegas. It seems like the case is being classified as a battery by strangulation. He originally only got 5 battery citations in the case, but they were dismissed back in January in order for the charge to be refiled and changed around. He currently works as an MMA analyst for ESPN, and they've released a statement about him. Chael will not appear on ESPN as we explore the details of these serious charges, the company said in a statement. The criminal complaint was filed back in December and was obtained by ESPN. According to this statement, 6 people were attacked, including the man who strangled. The complaint also said that he used force of violence upon a woman by striking, punching, and pushing her. From what we know, according to the complaint, Sonnen punched the first man, kicked the second, and hit the third man in the face. Then he kneed the fourth man and hit the fifth man with his elbow. Documents are yet to be released by the courts into the public domain, but it seems like they are being released soon. It's crazy that this can happen so easily. What do you think about this news? Let us know down in the comments section below. Next up is Jake Paul slams Covington for pressing charges against Masvidal. Chris Rock didn't press charges. videos. Jake Paul always seems to appear in these news videos as he constantly tries to get the attention of everyone in the UFC. Despite him only being a 5-0 in boxing, he clearly wants to head into the UFC. He recently made comments on Colby Covington, pressing charges against Jorge Masvidal, and states that many UFC fighters are getting soft. He even compared the alleged street attack on Covington to how Will Smith attacked Chris Rock at the Oscars. Chris Rock didn't press charges, but Colby Covington did, LOL. Just shows how much of a pussy Colby is. Make fighters not soft again, Paul wrote. Covington is reportedly pressing charges against Jorge Masvidal after he was allegedly attacked outside of a restaurant in Miami last week. Masvidal pleaded not guilty to the charges, but is facing charges of aggravated battery and criminal mischief that could land him in jail for up to 15 years if he's found guilty of them. He is an ex-street fighter after all, so it makes sense that he might do this sort of thing. It's absolutely crazy. Let us know down in the comment section below what you think about it all. And now we have Paddy Pimblett, rising UFC star, open to Ilia Topuria, fight after London win. Paddy Pimblett is slowly becoming a UFC superstar and wants everyone to know that he's ready for any opponent. He is ready to fight the unbeaten Ilia Topuria in his next bout. The two happened to clash before Topuria knocked out Jay Herbert at UFC London, in which Pimblett said Topuria was scared to face him in the octagon. Just 2 fights into his professional career, he's already one of the biggest fighters in the promotion and is a highly talked about fighter. It's mainly his character that makes people love or hate him. He seems more than happy to call out his rivals and just wants to get in the ring with him. When asked about how his career is going to head from here, he just said it's only going to get bigger and better. What a guy. Let us know down in the comments section below what you think of Paddy Pimblett. Next, is Israel Adesanya one of the best fighters of this generation? His UFC record is insane, and his fighting style reflects that. He doesn't fight like a normal fighter, which is what makes him crazy entertaining to sit down and watch. He has some beef with certain fighters and has even made comments about Jake Paul. Could they possibly fight in the near future? Adesanya has become well known in the octagon for his fighting style, but outside of the UFC, he has become well known for his nerdy side. The fighter constantly talks about anime during interviews and press conferences, even doing poses from Naruto. The fighter's also covered in anime tattoos. The biggest nerd moment from this fighter was during one of his matches where he posed just like the character Rock Lee from Naruto. His opponent, without realizing it, did the pose from the anime as well. It was a crazy moment where real life reflects art without anyone realizing it at the time. What a crazy moment, and what a crazy fighter. Let us know down in the comment section below how much you like Adesanya. And that's the end of today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this latest video. If you did, would you please let us know down in the comment section below? It would be very helpful. Make sure to like the video, comment down below, and of course subscribe to the channel with the notification bell rung. Thank you for watching today's video. Bye.